Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Kari and today I'm doing banned books that I own. To be fair, as you probably know, there are a lot of banned books out there and the list only gets longer with each book written. So I just chose the top 5 that I thought I could find something to say about and sort of went with that. I do own a fair number of banned books, and just to put it out there, yes, I own Harry Potter, as you know, 3 different sets, working on 4. No, I'm not including it even though it has been challenged and banned because it's sort of a give me series. But I do have 5 other books here that are banned. Also, as a side note, I recognize that Banned Books Week was the last week of September, and I'm a little bit late in posting anything about it, but I didn't actually realize it was Banned Books Week until I went to the library the last Thursday of September, and then I had September wrap-ups and book hauls and stuff like that to post, so I'm getting to it now. Anyway, let's get into the 5 banned books that I'm talking about today. The first one is still a little bit of a give me, and that is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. This is a trilogy. It's dystopian about Katniss, who can shoot arrows and wears her hair in a side braid and basically ends up in this fight against the Capitol, who is oppressing everybody by killing off teenagers every year to keep people in their place. It's an interesting description, but it's about accurate. Anyway, I didn't look into why any of these were banned. I'm assuming this one was banned because people think it's political and bad and God forbid children or YA young adults should learn about politics or how to stand up or just escape into a dystopian world, because some people really enjoy that. I don't understand why this book was banned, but I don't understand why any books are banned, because freedom of expression, anybody, but again, that's just me being very constitutional there, not the point. This book was banned. It has been challenged quite a few times as well, from what I saw. Again, I suspect because it's dystopian and people don't really like watching kids kill each other, and they think it's maybe a little violent for its target audience. I don't know what to tell you, but I really enjoy this series. I have to say, I like the movies. If I'm in the series for something really dark and dystopian, I tend to just binge the movie series because it is a little bit faster than reading the entire series. However, I have been thinking a lot about these books lately because I haven't read them in a while, so I think I'm probably gonna try and reread them sometime in 2020. Next is honestly one of my least favorite books, which is The Giver by Lois Lowry. This one has also been challenged quite a few times and banned a fair number more because God only knows why. I assume because it's some sort of different world and because it has a boy who runs away from society because he doesn't like what they're doing. Again, I don't see how that's a bad thing, in my opinion. I dislike this book. First of all, I read it in 5th grade. And it didn't strike any chords with me. I didn't particularly find it memorable either, to be honest. The part I remember is the color red and how it associated with heat. Without saying more and without spoiling it, I won't go into it. But that part was interesting, the color, and I have realized in the last couple of years that it's actually a quartet. The second or third of which is called Gathering Blue, and I love Gathering Blue. I don't own the full quartet. At some point I will, and at some point I'll read the entire series, but not right now. I like that part of it. I like the challenge the societal norms part of it, which again, probably why it was banned, but this book just did not strike any chords with me. I didn't really like the main character, and it did not stick with me much beyond dislike and the color red. And then the rest of these, The Giver was a classic too, but more of a modern classic, I guess. The rest of these are pretty much straight up classics, including and starting with The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. The first book I ever read of Steinbeck's was his book about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, or something like that, which is surprisingly not depressing. At least I don't remember it being depressing. I read it sometime in high school. Anyway, this book is as depressing as you can get. It follows a family in the Great Depression as they go from the East Coast, or more specifically as they go from like Oklahoma because Dust Bowl, all the way to California and end up in a Hooverville because nobody has money and everybody but millionaires like J.P. Morgan are starving. Mind you, I don't think J.P. Morgan was alive. I don't know. Again, American history, not my strong suit. I'm digressing a lot. I apologize. Grapes of Wrath. I did enjoy it. Steinbeck's writing style is beautiful and amazing. This book, however, basically takes your soul and just sucks it devoid of all hope for the sake of Harry Potter being a banned book. It's a bit like a Dementor. It just sucks out all the happiness. Unlike a Dementor, though, it does not just straight up never let you be happy again once it's administered the kiss, because there's a little tiny little grain of hope at the end of this book. And by little, I mean little itty bitty minutia of hope. But again, it's a good book. I think it paints a really good picture of the Great Depression at the time and how bleak and hopeless it felt, because it's a decade almost of not great economic situations, and doesn't really go into great times with the war, although economically that was a whole other thing. Again, I digress. Apparently it's Tangent Tuesday. So this one, like I said, I enjoyed. I really don't understand why this one would be banned though. I see nothing wrong with learning about the Great Depression, whether that be through a novel or a documentary. So I don't understand. Next one is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, which the first line of it, I think, made me cringe. The first page, because the first line is, "It's a pleasure to watch it burn." But this book, I could see why it would be banned, because it's all about burning books. 451 Fahrenheit is, that's not the title, I know, you switch them, but anyway, 451 degrees Fahrenheit is what I meant to say, is the temperature at which paper burns, if I'm not mistaken, and this book is all about burning books, which just makes me cringe, and I don't, it is physically painful for me to read about that. However, I really enjoyed this book. Again, I could see why it would be banned. It's very political. It talks about basically completely eliminating any sort of right to privacy or freedom of expression or speech. And it was fascinating to watch that play out. This book was, oh god, terrifying and amazing all at the same time. Probably one of my more enjoyed classics. And then the last one is A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I first heard about this one when I was in high school. There was a girl on one of the other speech teams that did a speech, and it had something to do with alphabetization because her last name was at the end, and she brought up Brave New World and how people are born in test tubes, or rather created in test tubes. And it was fascinating, but I never read it until law school because I didn't really have any need to. This one I could also see why it would be banned. A lot of these books that I'm talking about today, I'm realizing, are dystopian, and they're about fighting back and not accepting the societal norm, which, if you're the government or if you're some sort of brainwashing cult, you're not really going to want people to read about how it's better to overthrow the government, because that means overthrowing you, and governments are acutely uncomfortable with that. Fair enough, people are absorbed by power and it corrupts, absolutely. It's a paraphrasing of that quote. Anyway, I found this one very interesting. I believe my friend Katie read it a couple months after I did, and she pointed out that it was sort of a, not quite a worshipping, but almost, of Henry T. Ford and modernization, which I did not realize because I didn't put it together. This book was written and published in the 1920s or 30s, I believe. Let's see, 1932, which struck me dumb. I did not realize that this had been published almost 100 years ago, because it feels incredibly modern. It feels more like Hunger Games than Tolstoy. Again, I realize not the same era, but you get my point. And so that was fascinating to realize. I can't fully explain without going into a very long-winded speech, and I don't want to do that because this is banned books, but I could see why this one would be banned as well. But I enjoyed it. those are the 5 banned books that I'm going to talk about today in honor of Banned Books Week, a couple of weeks late. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!